Scooby-Dooby-Doo, here are you. You're ready and you're willing. If we can count on you, Scooby-Doo, I know we'll catch that villain.
Welcome to your online coffee break, where we discuss bite-sized topics that inspire, educate, and entertain. Here's your host, a software innovator, award-winning marketer, and astronomy and space buff, Chuck Fields.
Hello, thanks for joining me today for your online coffee break. Today I'd like to welcome my special guest, the galaxy's most animated band, the Shake-Ups. The Shake-Ups are an award-winning power pop band that perform original songs inspired by cartoons. They've just released their brand new album, Meddling Kids, with a special dedication to Scooby Doo, which is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. So grab some Saturday morning cereal with your coffee today, sit back and enjoy our conversation with the Shake-Ups.
Online coffee break.
Thank you all for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're excited to be here.
I am excited to have you. Now, let's go around the room. Introductions. Let's start with you, Patrick. Just say your name, what you do.
I'm Patrick. I play the guitar, among other things, and I write songs.
Excellent.
Hello, my name is Savannah O'Connor. I play the keyboards and occasionally co-write songs and am generally just dorky. How about you?
I'm Luisanna. I do the lead female vocals, co-vocals, and on this particular album, Meddling Kids, I co-wrote a couple songs. Too.
Oh, man. Well, thank you for joining us. This is great. And I have to tell you, my first experience with you guys was just last fall. I went to Starbase Indy.
Oh, okay.
And it was funny. My wife and I, that was our first time there, so we were walking up and down the halls. And,
I knew I recognized her.
Well, yeah, I don't know. There was this one room that all the action was going on. Because all the others were kind of, stoic and, they had lectures, which was great. Really fun experience. But this one room, I mean, the walls were shaking and we're like, we got to check out this room. And we go in, you guys are up on stage, jamming along. Everyone's bebopping. Yes, I'm showing my age here, bebopping. But, oh my gosh, it was just so much energy. And it was so good to run into you again at Indie PopCon. After looking at your guys' history, I understand you guys actually formed way back in 2005. How did that happen? Who wants to talk about that?
It was the band has had a lot of twists and turns through our history, but it was myself and the other guitar player, Ed, that first formed the band. And we've had many membership changes over the years and many changes of direction. But it was he and I that kind of first got together to start the band. It was just going to be kind of an indie pop band, local band. And I was already playing with our drummer, Steve, at the time. So they're kind of the little nucleus that started it.
It seemed like you sort of went through a transformation in just 2013. Something seemed to switch.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, let's see. We had just finished recording the Extra Pulp album in 2012. Steve and I just, we got an offer to play at this convention that his wife sort of helped to run. And we thought, wouldn't it be fun to change up some of our songs and play about the cartoon rather than just playing regular old rock and roll songs? And we did it very quickly. It was done like within, I think, a month tops.
I can add to this in that. So the original thought was Patrick's music is very poppy, and like that would be appropriate. He played at a lot of outdoor festivals and places where families were. Nice. So hey, poppy music. Yeah. We want to do a children's event. We want it to be about this cartoon. The first thing she asked was if we could learn the songs from the cartoon because there was music in the cartoon. Really? There was not time to learn the songs about the cartoon, and most of the vocals are female in Broadway style, so it would have been a little bit complicated to arrange them anyway.
We did learn a couple of short bits.
Couple bits, but since there wasn't time, we did what we filked Patrick's original music. So we took his original songs, took the lyrics, changed the lyrics as people do. That's the for those of you who don't know what filk is, in the fandom communities, it means taking an already written song like name it.
But normally
and
you take like an old
standard,
right. But in this case it was just
and change the lyrics to be funny and about whatever fandom you're interested in. It's just a common funny thing that people do, but it's unusual to do it to original music. So we took his songs and we turned them into songs about the characters from the cartoons, and then we got 3 or 4 offers to do birthday parties.
Yeah, it just kind of snowballed from there. It was just a one-off thing, and we just kind of put more effort into it than we really needed to. You know what I mean? We just were excited about it, and so it just kind of snowballed.
I think that's
into
great.
this
So, I mean,
totally
you kind
other
of find
thing.
your passion in that once you start doing that. And obviously the response, I assume, was just wonderful. People were like, yeah,
Oh,
I
yes.
love this
It
one.
was, and then we started doing conventions and things. That's how I joined the band. I was not in the band previously. I joined the band because the boys were shy of children. And because of being cartoon music, there was
Other boys, not me.
Well, no, Patrick was fairly comfortable, but some of the other boys were a little shy of being asked to play events that were child-centric. Now we play for grown-ups and children, pretty evenly.
Oh, yeah, you guys are so much fun.
But since playing cartoon music, oftentimes we do birthday parties and fun stuff like that.
So that's kind of, so you mentioned you weren't there at the beginning, but let's hear a little bit more about just your musical background. Like, what did you do before?
Ooh,
Oh,
hers
so,
is fun.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I'm actually a classically trained clarinetist.
Really?
I started playing music when I was a wee child at about 7 years old. My elementary school music instructor, I had shown interest in wanting to learn how to play the flute, but I was very, very small, and so I couldn't play the flute. And so she taught me how to play the piccolo, and she would stay after school and teach me how to read music, and I learned how to play it terribly because really children should not play piccolo. And then once I got into elementary school, I picked up the clarinet because it's a more logical instrument, and I've played it since then, and I studied in college, and
She also plays
I play saxophone as well. I
Saxophone.
picked that up because I wanted to join the high school jazz
Nice.
band because I wanted to hang out with my friends. And so actually that's kind of funny. I joined the jazz band to hang out with my friends, and then I joined the Shake-Ups to also hang out with my friends.
Oh yeah, I can tell. She joined 2 years. There had been a female singer in the band who
Oh,
moved to
yes.
Pennsylvania, and we were
Right.
I'm closing in on my 3rd year now.
okay. So one day, Luisanna and I, who were just friends, were baking.
For your
for
bake,
a bake sale.
Yeah, the Shake-Ups were doing a bake sale to raise money for
No Kid Hungry.
No Kid Hungry.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we were doing a charity bake sale, and Luisanna was helping me, and we were waiting for, as things must bake, we were waiting. She pulls out a ukulele and starts singing a Shakira song beautifully in Spanish, just gorgeous,
You had
rich
no idea that
tone.
she even
I didn't even know she
sang or
sang.
played.
I so
anything at
wanted.
that
I have a
point.
Yuki. I was gonna bring it out and just put you on the spot and have you play, but I can't
She
find it
could.
because I'm horrible at it.
Oh, she
actually-
could've.
the funny-
They both play ukulele.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I've
awesome.
released a couple solo albums with
Wow.
ukulele.
Yeah, Patrick's much better at it than I am. I only learned because I broke my leg a few years back, and I got really bored, and so I decided to learn how to play ukulele.
You were attacked by a groundhog.
I was attacked by a groundhog. It's a really crazy story, but yeah.
No, was it that Phil?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, he just that shadow thing. He
yeah,
just
I know he's not
a little
very
vicious.
fun, but no, I'm not sure about which one it was particularly, but yeah. I get bored and I learn a new instrument, and the guys think it's funny because sometimes they'll say, "You know what this really needs? An XYZ thing. Luisanna, you can learn that, right?" And I'm
She's
like,
learning the bass right now. Literally
Really?
because our bass player couldn't show up to a show. She is currently a good way along to learning
8
the bass.
songs, 8
She knows
songs.
8 songs now.
That's incredible.
So
she's
anytime
very
we need a little extra something, we're like, "Hey, Luisanna, what about doing this?"
Ed is similar. Ed, we
Yeah.
found out randomly
Our
played
other
the violin.
guitarist.
That Ed, our other
Yeah,
guitarist.
I've known him for 15 years at least,
Wow.
yeah. And we just found out 2 years ago that he plays the violin.
we were doing
incredible.
what was it? They Might Be Giants. We were trying to do.
we were doing
Istanbul, not Constantinople. And he's like, I play the violin.
and we were doing a very Beatle-esque, Beatle-esque I Am the Walrus sort of pastiche
Oh, I love that song,
and we
yeah.
needed some strings, and
Yeah,
and
I think
he volunteered to do it, and I was like, "What? You play the violin?"
Well, I think the first instance was when we played that the Beatles show, right? And he played For No One because we ended up.
Oh,
Yeah, so we
might
were
be.
Whoa,
playing For
Beatles
No
show.
One.
Tell me more.
Yeah,
Let's hear
once
Oh,
a
yeah.
year we do a Beatles show.
Yeah, we
Really?
get all
Annual
dressed
Beatles
up
show,
like
yeah.
the Beatles plus 2 girls, and and we play some.
You have to imagine what the Beatles would have looked and sounded like if there were 6 of them and 2 of them
Even
were
better
female.
than 4. That's awesome.
Our outfits are modeled after the girls on the train in Hard Day's Night.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is so
I look
cool.
like
Yeah, and so of course there's some songs that have like horns or whatever, and I was like, you know what, I'll some of them I transposed to saxophone, some of them I transposed to clarinet to play, and then for No One I was doing clarinet, and Ed was like, I feel like I could do the violin in that one too, and so I think that's my favorite arrangement of any of the Beatles songs that we do. So
Yeah, for No One, it's an unexpected tune to pick also.
yeah, but it's so lovely.
It's nice to be able to do some of those that they didn't do live,
I think it's neat too, and I have to commemorate you guys on just the whole cosplay and just how you get into character. Oh my gosh, it's so neat because again, music to me it takes you in that different land.
Sure.
And you guys go the extra degree because it feels like. I mean, I have to bring up your Meddling Kids album. I feel like I'm just sitting there watching Saturday morning cartoons.
Oh, good. That's exactly what we were going for.
Exactly.
Tell us more about that album.
Well, let's see. On this one, how did it start? I guess it started because we knew I've loved Scooby Doo since I was a little kid. Obviously.
Me too.
I should mention my background. I didn't talk about it, but I was in choir in high school, and then I picked up the guitar at age 13. So,
Okay.
And sort of wrote songs in my bedroom for about 5 years before I ever did anything.
I can appreciate that.
In a project with anyone else, and then finally got roped into it.
Nice, very nice.
Okay, so Meddling Kids, I've been a Scooby fan since I was a little kid, and I don't know, it's just one of those shows that sticks with you.
Yeah.
I think last year we were talking about how it's like 50th anniversary was coming up this year.
Right,
That's incredible.
And
we were already playing the theme song.
And
in our
speaking of
sets.
cosplays, this was one case where the album cover and the theme, because not all the songs are about Scooby. I mean, there's only 3 songs about Scooby Doo. It was 4. Sorry, 4. I forgot the last
my notes
one.
say 4.
Sorry, forgot the last one.
Okay.
It was about what costumes to wear. So it was a discussion about who would be Velma. It was basically a fight in a car about who got to be Velma, because everybody wants to be Velma.
Well, there's so typically when we go on away trips, it's typically the away team is Patrick, Savannah, Lee, and I, and we drive together in one car, hauling a trailer full of stuff. And we were like, oh, there's 4 of us. There's 4 Scooby Doo members. Oh, we should dress up like that for Halloween sometime. And then
we could do a Halloween show.
Yeah.
Oh, we should learn. Well, we already know the theme. What else could we do?
Yeah.
Patrick, write a song.
And so then we were like, you know what? But this album, like, we don't really want to push it towards just one, property. So we decided to write a little bit of everything because we were already doing shows like that at many conventions, Saturday morning cartoon shows. So
Right, which it fits right in.
Yeah, I think In Conjunction is responsible for originally giving us the Saturday morning cartoon hour as the name of our show at the convention. So at large pop culture conventions, that's become a thing that we offer to do a children's show that's Saturday morning cartoon. Sometimes we get little boxes of cereal and throw them at people. And we have cartoon videos that we play behind us to illustrate. And then we've been learning different theme songs from cartoons. Also, we all draw and we all love animation and we all really care and like cartoons. Yeah. So we all had opinions about different ones that we like best. So sort of everybody got to pick one this time
So in
instead
this
of it
case,
being all about one
All
thing.
right, let's hear some of your favorites. Let's.
yeah.
Who picked what from this group?
Oh,
Well, I picked Gravity Falls for one of them, mostly because I really love Mabel Pines because she's so cute and optimistic, and no matter what happens, she's really plucky and just gets back up. And then I also really love Star versus the Forces of Evil because I think that Star Butterfly and her best friend Marco are like the cutest, most amazing couple of cartoons ever written together.
Awesome.
Both fairly modern cartoons.
Yeah, those are
right.
modern.
And I went with some other vintage cartoons to sort of tie in a little. I mean, Scooby was more vintage than I think anything else that we did, but I did something for Masters of the Universe, and I did something for Thundercats.
Steve requested a Skeletor song.
That's right.
Ah,
yeah.
So
that's
the
how
drummer
that
is
started.
responsible for there being a Skeletor song.
And Steven Universe, we already did a project for the Shakeups in Beach City, but I felt like it was unfinished, and there was another idea there.
Yeah, it was one that
we
kept
included
tossing
one of
around.
those.
It was one we kept tossing around. That's just from singing the Purple Rain, Pizza Rain thing in the car, too.
And then we had a couple of Marvel's superheroes are really big these days, and we
There.
Savannah and I co-wrote a
I'm
song.
personally obsessed with Squirrel Girl. So both the Marvel Rising cartoon, but then also Ryan North's comic book right now is one of my favorite things. So I adore the character of Squirrel Girl. She, I like she's gonna punch it or make friends with it kind of.
And then that was a song that we wrote about 5 years ago, and
that was the
forgot
first
about.
song written on the album. Yeah, I wrote
It was
that.
the first thing we ever
ever did
think.
together
Yeah.
was the Squirrel Girls theme. And I said, hey, couldn't we resurrect that Squirrel Girl song? We
But
had to
didn't
reverse
have-
engineer
but
it. We
didn't
only
have
had the
recording.
lyrics.
Like, we made a real rough demo recording and it just disappeared. Like, I think it was on an old drive that went dead, and so we
Figured
found
it
some
out.
lyrics, but we didn't have the actual recording that we'd made, and so we had to just remember it.
That
Yeah,
is
I found it
incredible.
in
Which
an
we
old
eventually did.
found it in an old notebook.
Yeah.
So that one was that. That was
and
the
then
main
did
one that
the
I picked.
Grasshopper, which is one of the most obscure Marvel superheroes of all time.
Yeah, I was actually sitting in a podcast with Liz and Tony, and we were
Yeah.
talking about Captain Marvel, and then we were talking about, our project, and I was like, yeah, we're doing a song about the Grasshopper, and I'm sitting there with these two comic book guys. Liz and I don't really know much about comic books, but these two guys, like, one works at Comic Carnival, the other one's, like, hugely ingrained in Marvel Comics, and they both looked at me like, who? And I was like, well, awesome.
From the
we win.
Great Lakes Avengers, he
Right.
was
Oh,
the
So the Grasshopper was like the South Park's Kenny version of a superhero. Like, he has the record for, I mean, if you listen to the song, you get all this too, but
Yeah.
he has the record as the shortest amount of time on a superhero team because he joins and is immediately killed. And so he's like Kenny. Every once in a while, they would bring him back and just kill him off again right
Oh
away.
yeah. Nice.
the connection to Squirrel Girl there is a little red comic called The Great Lakes Avengers.
Right.
They were both in it, which was
Right.
kind of one of those B team superhero,
Yeah.
Right.
superhero teams that was, but intending to be a B team.
Right.
What I understand is, I'm not sure if I got the count right, but I think this was your 11th album.
Sounds
11
about
or
right.
12.
11th
yeah.
or 12th. Wow. And then you've been really aggressive the past few years. I mean, there was one year you did a little bit more than one album a year.
In,
Yeah.
12, in 12 months, we released
Three
It was
full-length
almost 3
albums.
I think it was
Yeah.
like
Wow.
13 months we did 3 albums.
Yeah.
How on earth do you stay so creative and pumped up about it?
that's Patrick.
Patrick is unstoppable.
I just-
If we could record faster, Patrick writes songs like he breathes, and he
Wow.
makes demos that are very well developed. So it ends up being a little bit. This year, the cool thing about this album was if it's like a moving train. If we don't get in fast, he'll do the whole thing. So on the Voltron album, we sort of said there's a little bit Patrick on Patrick because he just had the ideas and he really developed them. So
Yeah.
by
Well,
the
and
time
We have this
recorded,
ongoing joke that every time we do a new project, we're going to do an EP of like 4 songs.
Yeah.
But then by the time we've got those 4 songs down, there's 14 songs.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the
So then it's an album.
I think
a
the
problem.
Voltron was my favorite. It was like 12 songs, and we're like, okay, 12 songs is totally manageable because we're finishing up Pony Mania, which had been written for like a year and a half before we started recording it, right?
Right.
yeah.
And so by
Well,
time
most of it. There might have been a couple.
a couple
that we
things,
added.
but we were like, okay, Pony Mania, let's get that going and rolling. And February came by, and it's like, okay, now we got to finish this Voltron album. We're like, okay, well, we just finished Pony Mania. 12 songs sounds reasonable. And then I was like, oh, guys, here's another demo. And we're like, okay, that sounds
Stop it.
okay.
Wow.
And, oh, guys, here's another demo. Next thing I know, there's
And we're
like,
trying to write parts and we're trying to get it
Yeah.
together, and he's just sort of like, oh, if you're having trouble, here's a bass line. Oh, if you're having trouble, I got an idea for a key line. We're like, leave us alone.
but yeah. And
Okay, so
so for this,
so I can
album-
explain. Okay, so
Please do.
I'm a huge cartoon fan, obviously.
Obviously.
But so we had done Steven Universe project, and we had done a My Little Pony project, and we'd learned some various cartoon themes. But Voltron was the first one we did that I had been a fan of since I was a little kid.
Nice, yeah.
And so the ideas just kept coming for that one, and
No
I
creative
just
shortage
spit
here.
them
That's
out very
amazing.
quickly.
I just
and-
think this is incredible.
Yeah, so he just went to town, and then the very last one, what was Danny just offhandedly said, I want a song about Hunk that's called I'm a Leg. And then we were like,
Yeah.
oh God. And Patrick wrote
Yeah,
it.
he just wrote it in no time. And my favorite part of the whole process was that I had just finished learning all of the Pony Mania songs, and Patrick's writing is really beautiful, but sometimes there's lots of words, and like way more words than like one of those radio edit pop songs
Yeah.
that you
Yeah,
hear.
it's not oh baby, oh baby.
Right.
It's like,
Like,
here's the whole
It's
plot of
intense,
this
yep.
episode.
Yeah, so of course, like I'm struggling to learn all these lyrics. Most of them I'm trying to learn as I'm driving on my day-to-day commute.
Yeah.
And Legendary Defenders was one of those songs that is just the opening credits for Voltron. And so Lee is sitting in the car with me, and we're driving, and he's like singing it word perfect, and I'm like, what is wrong with me? I can't learn this song, but you're the bass player and you know my parts. And he's like, a thing I learned when I was 6, and so
my
it's
gosh.
one
Okay,
of those things
here's
too.
the story about that. I was trying to write sort of a quasi theme song for Legendary Defenders, the album, where each character would have a verse, each of the main characters. And along the way, I just, for fun, started playing the same chords and doing the narrative intro from the old show over
From
it.
days of long ago, like
Exactly.
that thing that it starts
Nice.
off
Right,
as.
so in the original series, it's spoken, and I just tried singing it to this thing I was
it
writing, and
worked.
it ended
was
up
like, "From
being an
days of
intro
long
of
ago."
sorts.
It came out all cutesy.
And so
Yeah.
that's why...
Yeah, but
That's why Lee knew it and
Lee
you
knew
didn't.
it and I didn't.
Because he had known it when he was a kid. But the point was, on this album, we spread it out in such a way
tried
that
to
we
make more.
actually got to really fully participate and write our parts and collaborate and
Yeah,
think
there's-
about the content. And, Shira, that was the other
most-
one.
yeah, the most group activity,
I
I think.
voted for.
Yeah.
I like Shira, Princess of Power.
And I really wanted to write some songs to sing, and so once Voltron was wrapping up, I started working on the songs because I cannot write like as fast as Patrick, and I don't really write, and so this was a whole new undertaking for me. So the minute like we were done with Voltron, I was like, I must finish this song.
These are all your first lead songs on you have 3 lead singing parts on the album
Yeah.
and 2 songs that you co-wrote. So
Yeah.
that's a really important development
Yeah.
for you.
Now, what are you going to do after this? Because this one, obviously, do you have another album coming up, or
We're
you going
going
to
to
slow down a
Disney
little bit?
World. I was
Disney World.
I wish we were going to Disney World.
well, it just came out, so we haven't made any, concrete plans.
We're touring the album.
right,
as we
but,
say.
But we do. Our other guitarist has a project he's sort of been working on that's kind of a spoken word thing.
It's a,
a
like,
narrative
podcast.
story.
I
yeah.
guess what we should say is 2 of our band members, that is Lee Chirolis and Ed. Cho. I know his name. Oh God, I'm a horrible person. Ed and Lee. So the point is, Ed and Lee write a comic book together.
really?
It's called Little Guardians, available where many fine comic books are sold,
And on the web.
and on the web. But Little Guardians is a charming young adult, children's adventure comic that's sort of
nice.
very charming. It's about like children with magical spirit animals, and it's really great. They write it. Lee is a graphic designer and an artist, and he's fantastic. He draws it. Ed writes it. They've been doing that for years, and so that's sort of their connection to this whole world. And they're fantastic. But the point is, Ed's a writer, and so he's because we did a reading of
did.
his comic book.
So we were at In Conjunction last year, and they were guests of honors, writers of honor. And so as a panel, they were like, what if we read it?
Yeah, like
we'll
voice
read
acted.
the
So we
comic.
voice
Oh, nice.
acted their comic, a chapter of their
that's so
comic.
cool.
Yeah, and so, the shakeups, we are people with voices, so we went ahead and did it, and he was like, wow, that was really fun. I wonder if we could do another thing sort of like that, but not like that, and so...
So he's written a musical story
Really?
for
Wow.
us to record, and it's really bizarre and fascinating. I think Patrick is a robot head and all sorts of bizarre things.
And a robot arm.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Right.
a stretch.
I think I'm like some kind of like
I'm
rogue sheriff of Nottingham kind of character.
On a motorcycle.
On a motorcycle, yeah.
Right.
So cool.
But no, it should be really fun, and it will be released as a podcast. And so we might focus on that for a bit. And
Yeah, we don't really have any concrete plans,
And,
but that's something
but
that
you-
we're...
you do
We're
a lot
also
of
we've been
conventions, too.
Oh, yes.
we do tons of conventions.
Yeah.
We'll be doing that forever.
Yeah,
We've
let's
got
see.
another Beatles show coming
In
up.
Conjunction, we're doing Gen Con, we're doing, gosh, all kinds of stuff.
We've been pressed to go ahead and record some more of our theme songs, which we don't have recordings of. So
Well, I'm
We're
a
in the-
big fan of that.
we're in the process of recording those.
I tell you, I love your theme song too. And they can find out more about you, I guess, on your website, theshakeups.net.
the
Shakeups.net.
Shakeups.net.
We also have a
Banger.
YouTube channel.
with all sorts of lovely, I should say, kid-friendly and grown-up friendly. You can plop your children in front of our YouTube videos. They're
Excellent
cut
videos. I
together,
can attest to that.
cut together cartoon videos and a whole lot of fun.
some live action.
Yeah,
Some live
some of
action.
And we're
some
on
of
the
us.
Facebook, on the Book of Face, you can find us.
and the website.
Yes, and then Meddling Kids is out. It's available. They can download it on iTunes.
iTunes, Amazon, CD Baby.
It's available everywhere. I highly recommend it. A lot of fun. You will be
Hooray!
singing along with it in
Thank
the
you.
car like me. Kind of scary.
We hope it is sugared breakfast cereal in your ears.
That's a good
But
way to put
don't
it.
put sugared cereal in your.
But don't really.
Don't do that. Don't do that, kids.
It's a
Okay,
metaphor.
kids. Don't put sugared breakfast cereal in your ears.
Well, I cannot thank you. It's been a pleasure to have all three of you in the studio today. Thank you so much for taking time to join us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
My
Pleasure to be here.
Online coffee break.
Wow, I really enjoyed my conversation with the Shake-Ups today. Hope you did too. Their new album, Meddling Kids, is available now. If you'd like to learn more, just visit the Shake-Ups at theshakeups.net. I want to thank them for joining us today. I want to thank you for joining us today as well. If you'd like to comment on today's topic, just go to our website, onlinecoffeebreak.com. We'd also love it if you follow us on Facebook or Instagram at Online Coffee Break. And if you feel like supporting us, throw some love our way at patreon.com/online coffee break. Either way, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. We encourage you to subscribe and share this episode with a friend. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time. God bless.